Now that we have established that AI poses the greatest threat to human existence, let us adopt a proactive and preventative attitude so as to address this risk of extinction before it is too late. But first, allow me to set the stage. The field of AI safety, currently composed of about 1,000 people in the Western AI development ecosystem, is dedicated to addressing the large variety of risks posed by AI, ranging from biological, chemical, radiological, nuclear weapons, to cognitive offloading, to deceptive alignment. Most of those efforts are centered around technical research, one of the two main branches of AI safety. The other one is AI governance and policy, a much less appreciated and invested field. However, technical research relies on AI governance. On one hand, so there is enough or sufficient funding and resources for it, and on the other, so that models are developed at a slower pace, so we have time to conduct necessary AI safety research, and so our societies have time to prepare for the tsunami to come. To advance AI policy, it is necessary to gather political capital, which in turn has two sources: monetary capital and popular will. Now, monetary capital is already exerting great influence over AI policy, with super PACs such as Lead in the Future, funded by Andreessen Horowitz and OpenAI's Greg Brockman, investing millions to back accelerationist candidates in the US 2026 midterm elections. These are candidates that want to remove AI safeguards and develop AI models as fast as possible. However, there has been a disquieting lack of public influence on AI policy, mostly due to a lack of awareness, as there is bipartisan antagonism towards AI. That is, antagonism by both sides of the political spectrum, except by a privileged few who will personally benefit from AI development. That is precisely what I am trying to address with the funnel. An initiative and potentially an organization dedicated to raising awareness and engagement on the existential risks posed by AI. It is called the funnel because starting from a very broad and requiring low engagement, it will gradually become narrower and demand more engagement from its participants. The funnel will follow this structure. Initially, we will post short video content about AI safety on platforms such as YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and TikTok, meeting people where they're at. Then we will share longer, approximately 10 to 20 minutes, more explanatory videos on platforms such as YouTube. Ideally, both those short and medium-length videos would be posted on a daily basis during weekdays. Next, we would produce and post weekly podcasts in which we interview and converse with people engaged in the AI safety field. These are the forms of content we will share online. The next step in the funnel would be to host weekly online and in-person meetings during the weekends, so people have a space to deliberate about issues we face and potential pathways to solve them. Those who consistently attend the online and or in-person meetings will be invited to a fellowship structured by volunteers and eventually employees of the funnel. The fellowship will consist of a 5 to 10 week course in which the participants will be required to prepare by doing readings and completing homework, and convene on a weekly basis to discuss the week's material. The aim of the fellowship would be to provide participants with a foundation before they can begin volunteering. Volunteers would be assigned to different departments, depending on their preferences, their skills, and the necessities of the funnel. with room for switching between departments. Some of the departments may include operations, fellowship, finance, which would be responsible for gathering funding and eventually making the organization financially sustainable. Communications, which would establish an online presence for the funnel, do media outreach, and design the discourse. Journalism, reporting news relevant to AI policy. Political advocacy, developing policy recommendations, reaching out to political representatives and public officers, as well as running political candidates. Diplomacy, developing terms for an international agreement on AI development and facilitating discussions between different states. Industry relations, establishing a report with Frontier Labs, cloud infrastructure, and chip producers. Theory, establishing a theoretical foundation for the funnel. Forecasting, alignment, biological, chemical, radiological, nuclear, cyber, and legal. The volunteer experience will be developed in such a way as to train talent by upskilling and retraining participants regardless of their previous experience. As we secure funding and make the organization profitable, we seek to employ volunteers. Now, what I have presented here is a rough draft of the architecture for this organization, the funnel. I am open and appreciative of constructive feedback. I want this to be a collective effort, and I don't intend on taking ownership over this initiative. I want to provide people a space to take effective action to address an issue that threatens all of our lives. Lastly, I wish for this to be an international organization that can be established in different countries and regions by associated ambassadors, given that this is an issue that affects all of humanity and requires international collaboration.